5 things kids want from their separated parents. 1, they want you to live close together. Ideally, you shouldn't live any more than 45 minutes away from your co-parent, but even more ideally, you choose to live as close as you can to them. I understand this isn't possible for everybody, just bear with me, this is just one of the things. 2, they don't want to feel like they live out of a suitcase. They want to be able to take their favorite things between both houses and have things that are always theirs no matter which house they're at. There are always going to be things that can't go between houses, like pets, but try to limit it. 3, they do not want to feel like a pawn that is being used in a game. Kids pick up on that shit fast, and they can tell when you are withholding their time with the other parent as a punishment to that parent. 4, they do not want to be the messenger. Anything you need communicated to the other parent, do it yourself. Anything that should be communicated to the other parent should be told to that parent before they find out through the child. Parents should not be finding out about things like major medical diagnoses, sports activity signups, or even major life changes like a move through the child. And 5, they simply do not want to hear about the drama. I know that you want to rant and rave about the crappy, unfair things your co-parent does. Dude, you have friends for that. But your child does not need to be hearing these criticisms of their other parent, because whether you realize this or not, they're internalizing that as a criticism of half of themselves. With all that being said, most importantly, your kids want to see you happy. So take care of yourself and keep up the good work. All right, this one says, do you have anything for when the kids have moved on and you're retired, that's when we'll work on our relationship? Oof, yeah, I've got something for that. I refer to this in situations like it as trying to put you in a freezer bag. Instead of cooking with you now while you're fresh, they're hoping they can take care of some other things by putting you in a freezer bag and hoping you'll keep. Problem is, it's really easy to forget about all that stuff we're just throwing in the freezer. It's going to get freezer burn. And oh yeah, it's not food, it's your life partner. This also comes back to that age-old question, who comes first, the spouse or the kids? So for most immediate and urgent needs, kids come first. If your husband is upset about something, but then one of your kids gets a splinter, of course your husband can wait while you take care of that splinter, but you better come back to comfort your husband, because in general and in the long term, your spouse does come first, because the plan is to keep them around after the kids leave. Your kids ideally won't be living with you forever, and unlike your spouse, you don't have to be your kid's friend. So if you lose your friendship with your spouse, worrying more about your friendship with your kids, you might end up a little bit more of an empty nester than you thought. You cannot wait to prioritize your partner. It's not impossible. You do not need a pension to make this happen. Just say I love you every day, even when you're pissed off at them. Say thank you every day, even if they're just doing stuff they're supposed to do. And for the love of God, never stop going on dates. Keep dating. Come on, guys. No more freezer bags. Bigger boys have shorter childhoods. Here's what I mean. When we see a little kid, I mean one of those tiny little things with the big ol' eyes, we want to protect them. We want to keep them safe. We want to treat them like the baby they are. But the taller, the wider, the bigger they get, that stops. They're seen as older. They're seen as more mature. And so they're expected to whine and cry less, to listen better, to take on more responsibility. So when a 4-year-old looks like an 8-year-old, that childhood is going on the chopping block. Sadly, it is one of the easiest things in the world to stop treating a big kid like a baby, even though in reality, they're still a baby. And who tends to get bigger and taller faster? Boys. And this culture permeates not just in how parents and teachers treat the child, but how other adults treat the parent. He's never going to be a man if you keep holding him like that. You better tell that boy to quit crying. He's too old for that. He should have known better. Look how big he is. Ma'am, he is 3, and this is a Wendy's. But think about it. If anything happens to a boy's father, no matter how old he is always told that he is now the man of the house. If something ever happens to a girl's mother, no one's really in a rush to remind her that she's the woman of the house now. The expectation of boys to be strong, stoic, and mature can start as early as when they're in diapers. This is not meant to minimize the struggles that girls face, okay? They experience their mismatch of maturity in a different way, like through 30-year-olds telling them at 17 that they're so mature for their age. I just wanted to make a video about this phenomenon that I've observed through the years to remind people to let big boys be little. It's It's taken me a really long time to notice it because as a 5-foot, buck 15-pound female, I've never been able to relate. But the pressure of having to look so scary or having to look so intimidating as a child has got to be a lot to grow up with. Especially when all you want to do is get held when you cry and get called cute like all the other kids. This also probably explains why the biggest dudes you know will never get sick of the most juvenile stuff, like trying to balance on an uneven beam or seeing how far they can throw a stick or laughing really, really hard at farts. Because dudes are rebellious and they're gonna get that lost childhood in somewhere. But seriously, always be kind to the big boys because I swear they are gonna be the sweetest, funniest dudes you meet. Weaponized incompetence, a real-life example.
With what? You remember what we've been doing? No, I don't at all. Malachi?
Oh, we got his name.
There's stuff that can be pulled out of the ground. Do not act incompetent. Look at my face. Look at what you're doing. It's not fooling me. You're using incompetence as a weapon, and I'm not going to deal with it.
Okay, so I think every parent has these moments with their kids where they're like, no, you know what you're doing. Don't pretend you don't, right? It's that camera that's bothering me. Why were we filming? Why was that camera there? Because that's the part that's not settling right with me. Now, I could be wrong, but what this looks like to me is that her kid had already started acting up, so she set the camera up and then just waited for her big and then the whole train clapped moment. As soon as she recognized what he was doing, she started hitting record, just ready to prove to all of TikTok that she was single-handedly changing the next generation of boys, a true hero. I mean, the comments make it pretty clear that that was the end goal. If only my husband's mom did the same. Thank you, ooh, trying my best. Raising a future amazing husband and partner. Thank you. I mean, who cares if Malachi's classmates see this one day and roast the ever-living shit out of him? Really, the fallout from the very negative and real effects of public shame and humiliation are pretty secondary, tertiary to the sweet, sweet satisfaction of validation likes. This conversation could have very well been had in private. And I hear this creator saying, oh, well, I just post real life. But here's the thing is, no one's following you around with a camera, tracking all of your flaws and embarrassing attitudes and missteps along the way and then posting them for time immemorial on the internet, are they? No, you get to control your page and you get to control your narrative, but I'm pretty sure that if someone else in your life was following you around and posting stuff like that on the internet without your knowledge, without your permission, you would not feel very chill about it or think it's just real life. But that's the problem with chronically online parents who seem to utilize their kids for views, is the consent piece doesn't seem to matter to them. How these kids actually feel about their best and worst moments being posted to TikTok without their consent doesn't matter to these parents, as long as they're seen as heroes by women who secretly hate their own husbands. I know how I would feel if someone did this to me. So I'm just multiplying that feeling by 1,000, trying to imagine how this 8 or 9-year-old undeveloped child is supposed to process this level of humiliation and betrayal. You don't have to be your kid's friend, you're absolutely right there, but you do have to protect your kids. And when you turn in your child's biggest online bully just to get woke points by using the latest buzzwords on him for clout, you aren't being as good of a mom as you think you are. Welcome to my new series, Tips for Parents That Would Traumatize Your Kids If They Heard You Watching This. It can be tough to pencil in spicy time with your partner once you become a parent, especially if your kids are agents of co-sleeping chaos like ours always have been, so you have to become an opportunist. So these are my 3 favorite places to squeeze in a quickie on a busy parenting schedule. Okay, so 1, the laundry room. A famous hideaway for both the freaky and the introverted. The laundry room is a location that designates chores, so it's a natural repellent for kids who are trying to bother you. Use the space wisely, and as a pro tip, turn the dryer on. 2, that sweet spot between after you drop the kids off at 8 and before one or both of you has to leave for work at 9. We gotta get it in, okay? The coffee has kicked in, we're gonna make some time. Just make sure everyone's shirt gets back on the right way. Been there. And 3, as soon as they're in after-school activities, it's go time, baby. You're telling me rehearsal is 2 hours and you prefer parents not be there? Say less. That's what I got for you, moms and dads. May your door locks be strong and your birth control even stronger.